Alright, so I've got some of these adobe bricks made, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stack them tall like this and make a box shaped kiln over here, so too wide, too long, and then in the middle here I'm going to do a half brick on each side and make the box one wide by maybe two long, and hopefully that'll be enough to get a good amount of fuel into the firebox, and hopefully I can stack these up high enough to where it'll have a good draw and fire really well. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, so I just cleared out an area. What I'm going to do is make it too wide, too long, and the firebox is going to be one wide and maybe too long. But first thing you do, make sure it's level. Alright, so we made some mortar with what we made the bricks with, and all we're going to do is just put them in between, smear them in between with your hands, and then put them back together. Alright, so we got the bottom layer mortared. He's adding a top layer. We're going to add one more layer of brick up. Then I'm going to add this mesh wire. And then that'll be where I can place all my pottery pieces at. And then we'll add more brick on top of that. And I think what I might do is add some support in the middle with like a column, maybe like 2 columns in the back or something like that, or maybe just a middle column comes in the middle and just goes up. That way it can kind of be supported, the pottery can. But we got this mortar layer, got the bottom bricks. Probably have to start a fire just to start drying these bricks out a little bit and to keep the mortar binded together as well. Alright, need to break some of these in half. Best thing to do, what I've found, is just find the half of the brick, and all you're going to do is lift up and slam on your form. Use these for half pieces that we need. Any of the excess that we have to take off, we can just rehydrate. Bring that bucket over here. Fill that in with mortar. That way we're not stacking up brick after brick. We're stacking the bricks in between the seams here, on top of the seams. That'll make it a lot stronger structurally. Alright, so I realized that after I built this outer shell here, that it might be too big, especially for the firebox that I made. It's just really, I don't think gonna be able to get enough fuel and airflow to go in there to fill up this entire area here. So what I'm doing is I'm closing this off. One, that'll make it where it'll be a little bit more stable for this grate that I'm going to put on here. So I'm going to put this grate on, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stack up some cob or adobe to where it is right underneath this. So that'll give this some more support. It'll make it where I don't need to stuff in as much fuel onto the inside. And also doing it where I just cut this off instead of breaking these bricks down and building it back up tall. This should help with insulating the inside more, so it should retain more heat. So it should be able to stay warmer, stay hotter, without me having to add as much fuel. So I'm hoping that this will be good, especially for when I get a lot of fuel in through this front firebox here, which I am going to extend it just a little bit more. Once I get enough fuel in through here, I can burn it down and then put my pots in here to candle, and hopefully the heat that is going to be retained from these adobe bricks plus the insulation from these air gaps should hold in more heat and hopefully candle it before the main firing. So I should be able to put my pots on this grate, or put fuel in here, let it burn down, put my pots on the grate, let them candle for a few hours, and not have to put fuel in, or maybe just put very small amounts like a few twigs or small branches, stuff like that, and just put them in here and let it slowly burn and dissipate and candle. And then when I really want to get it fired, once I see this change in the carbon from the pots turning black into more of their natural color, because it'll absorb carbon as it warms up. The vessel is going to open its pores up and it's going to absorb carbon. Once that carbon gets burned off, hopefully through this wicking process or candling process, then I can just add more fuel and start getting it roaring, you know. And hopefully that'll work. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I think this being insulated will help retain more of the heat, and it won't be as crazy of a fluctuation in heat, so shouldn't get as much thermal shock. And then what I'm going to do is, once I get this on, all I'm going to do is just build up this area here. I'm going to build it up a little bit taller, and I might build a top that I can take on and off to act as like a chimney plus maybe a flue. So that's the idea right now. And I think what I'm going to do is make more bricks just to line that up there. I think I want to fill this up, and hopefully that'll give it enough insulation and enough thermal mass to where it absorbs a lot of the heat and dissipates it pretty well for the candling process, and then also retains that heat for the main firing process. So that's where I am right now. I just made 12 more bricks, and I'll probably need to make another 12. And after that is done, I'll build the rest of it up and show you guys the finished results, hopefully with the firing.